Yeah, Shane Gardner, yeah. So, but.
Oh, good. I didn't know. So I own NJP Restoration. I do fire safety. I've been doing it for 3.5 years. So I've done probably 50 of them, 60 of them.
Come up with two different fixes, basically.
Every Ron donut. Holy bananas.
Yeah, I do all the fire stuff. I was wondering, he just did a full one. Not a 50 story one, we just finished 2 weeks ago. And it was almost a full refurbishment where I think they're gonna do.
Haven't we met before in the last, did you visit my last seminar or no? Okay.
No, this is my first time through. The last time I did
It is getting recorded, but just, you know, we opened up our school in Boston, so we're actually certifying nationwide. So groups that are coming aboard that want to get their guys certified, get their inspectors certified, so when you are, no matter where you are, when you want to be a certified other.
Can I copy you an email?
yeah, I just did a couple walkthroughs. I've actually had a couple clients I'm working with now that are doing buying buildings or they're thinking about it. So I've been doing some inspections and saying this is my opinion on it. This is what I think that what it would cost or my opinions on what.
Well, you're one of the few, if not the only female fire safety inspector I know.
I'm not an inspector.
Estimator, like you're more
I go other refurbishments, I do all the repairs, I have a metal shop, I have.
You're a service.
Yes, I have 4 guys that work for me, and so I work for my brother, and I have, that's the one thing So on our, that's a bolt. We're it's
usually happen that way too. Take it all leather. 595 pounds.
And again, as I start doing about the nuts and bolts, you'll find out what happened was, you listen 10 years here. Sometimes, the great intensity captured by the crazies, and they start creating all these double low tests, stainless steel, and that's okay.
That's why it's such a, when you're, and I understand the national.
So the third one's coming all the way up.
It's always been a winner. It's always been a winner.
Our corporate is twice as much. We do have a lot of building to connection failures that we have, like this, like 50 outbreakers on this neon building.
Here's the best thing. Here's the best thing. You're a service. You actually make the best inspectors because you come from the bottom up. Theoretical.
Yeah, I have an well, and we work together when I go in. I don't just go in and do this day. I go in and we replace all the connectors on the all the nuts and bolts of panels.
Completely. See, I don't want to eat another donut.
Stairs.
I would love to start hard because you're using what we're looking for. Somebody to do the service side for us.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a great, I've got a great manager. This is actually, and I'll give you my website. Sorry, I don't have a
Myself. Well, I just did, it's got that 2.5 months.
That was Larry.
So I'm a subsidiary of my husband's.
You gotta say that backwards. You gotta say that backwards. I'm a subsidiary of my husband's construction company.
So we have an
But I'm
education
the greatest.
This is my husband's.
Well, we'll try at the end.
Mike is
Oh, you mean down at the
maintenance
bottom
manager
stairs?
of the testing side of their, this is Mike.
And Mike over across. Aaron Lucas.
We work hand in hand a lot with, but he runs their testing portion of it. So when I'm done,
Farscape testing.
yep, when I'm done, I'm calling them saying, hey, I'm ready for you guys to come out, get the schedule, and then if we have any problems or, and when it's passed, he says it's passed, and I need to find out. So,
Yeah, we'll go over the, and we'll share.
no, separate companies, so they, you know, in Portland, it's a good thing, because it sounds like to me how they decided to do it, to make everybody accountable. You have your engineering company, you have your repair company, you have your testing company. So you have three entities that are keeping everybody accountable for making sure that we're all correctly, accomplished. There has been other companies that, you know, that unbid, and they just like, well, we can do
Witch
this. Witch doctors. Yes, there's witch doctors out there that,
Well, you'll love this confidence test, because what we're gonna share with you, every part of that confidence test eliminates that issue, and it exposes people to the legal ramifications that can occur. Whether you're an inspector, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a vendor, repair vendor, whether you're a painter, or whether, all of them are there. And it interlocks everybody, so that one can't really complete their process without the other, and there's the thing. You can't move on. I don't wanna cover that
and
right now.
yeah, we use alkali paint is what we use in our, with our primer also. So when you're talking about that, that is important because of our weather and how our rust and stuff, that is what has, that has done really well with our.
But have you sealed your connections?
Oh, yeah, we're either sealing them with,
You're gonna find that the paint, the better paint is great, but you'll find that the connection failure was the start of, and the root of all.
Oh,
paint-
absolutely.
All paint problems.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll cover that right now, so we're gonna keep going.
okay.
All right, everybody back to the grind. All right, guys, let's, I'm gonna keep it going. I know we have about an hour before we take our break, so let me move this quickly, and I'm gonna go right into the confidence test.
What am I gonna have?
So, here's a repair that needs to be done,
I can only have
and
one.
Stu, you're gonna love this one. Because at the end of today, we're gonna go to the tower and inspect the tower down in Portland, which we've looked at before.
There,
Okay?
you can have that.
And we're actually gonna do a one-on-one with Stu on his tower. These towers are all over the US, and I inspect these all the time. Okay? And so, the best thing that we can do on these towers is actually train. So I'm gonna have Stu with me later on today, and I'm gonna go have him inspect this tower as if he was an inspector. You know what I'm saying? So that way he can share that with you guys, what visually he's looking for, so that you can determine that the fire escape visually has structural issues or paint issues. And again, we're gonna do it from inside the tower, looking out only, and use his eyeballs to see, can you see enough of an issue there that needs you to write a violation on this. Got it? So let's move on. So this fire escape, as you can see, I tested it one day. See the fallen treads? That was after I examined the fire escape. Prior to that, they were using it every day for training. Prior to that, see, this is inside. You guys have a wood one down there. But a lot of them have iron ones inside because they burn hay, they burn all kinds of things. Anybody see any rust jacking there? All right. So after my examination, anybody see any rust jacking in the clip? All right. So when I did my hammer test for safety, all of these things start falling apart. So we're going to examine that other tower later on. Okay. And this, they shut it down the day after. The day of, the day after. Guys, this is what you're facing with when you go out there. You got supports, you got rust jacking. Surface rust is not your biggest enemy. Aside from the EPA lead law requirements that you have to have a renovator's license, that's easy. It's the internal rust. It's identifying what is an internal rust connection, why it's become suspect, and now you got to open up that connection, and you got to clean it out, you got to remove, and you got to do this while the fire escape is still up in the air. So a lot of times, connections are one at a time. You do not take a whole fire escape apart because it'll destabilize and it could come down on you. So we fix railings one bolt at a time, one tread at a time, one support at a time, because it's really relying on multiple connections from keeping it from falling. So there's thousands of connections on a fire escape keeping you from falling. You can have a bolt failure and that fire escape will still perform. Got it? because it's really interlocked. By the way, this is on a veterans home up in Boston. So if the war didn't get you, this is people doing nasty things to fire escapes. Trucks, trash trucks, cement trucks, right? They just rip them out of the buildings. Hammer testing, non-hammer testing, right? This is the city hall. Does anybody notice any problems with the city hall? And I hope that goes to the mayor's office. Guys, the biggest issue with a lot of fire escapes is what's inside.
Yes.
All right, so this is a 20-story building that we were looking at in Chicago, and everything went on the opinion affidavit. We started doing some sampling throughout the 20 stories. What did we find? Okay, so now, a lot of times it's not that bad, but like you said, this occurred because of this. This occurred in Philadelphia. Remember that guy that died? Same thing occurred. Water got in between here. The bolt that was here rotted out this bolt. So even though you had a plate, right, and you had the support out here, as soon as water gets in here and rots these out, these things are going to pull off the building. So a lot of times it's what's going in, but as soon as you get into a situation that you've identified that this connection has been compromised, first of all, you got to cure the problem. And you know what the problem is? Water. That has to be cured. And it's usually up on the roof. So this thing just opened up into an additional can of worms. We got to stop the water from getting down there. You can put the piece in, but you got to stop the water. It's only a matter of time before that water will start rusting out that new connection. But number two is, let sleeping dogs lie. Make a new connection. By the way, when you've got several brackets on a building, you can unify the connections. Instead of doing individuals, run a 3x3 angle all the way across. Make your connection to all the supports. So 10, 15 foot long piece of 3x3, 4x4 angle. And you put every 2 feet, or every 3 feet, it's depending on the structural engineer. What do you do? Epoxy bolt it. If you can, get inside, you through bolt it. Because what's the problem with the epoxy bolts? You need 2 to prove that one works. Because, you know, if you don't properly install an epoxy bolt, but as soon as you unify the whole thing, what happens? What happens when you unify all the connections, and it's usually right there for you. You can easily get underneath 7 brackets and run one solid piece of steel. If you're doing an epoxy bolt or a through bolt every 2 or 3 feet all the way through, what has to happen for it to be a failure, a catastrophic failure? The whole thing has to come down at once. Because you have a failure on just one piece of it, what's it now relying on if you have what's called unification of the supports? Got it? So you can do individuals or you can unify. Got it? Other evidence of strength? Load test of the car? In lieu of load test, other evidence? NFPA? Okay. So guys, this is important because we obviously have a bigger issue here. So you can't just bury this. If this becomes evident, you're going to go to a new through bolt method. You don't have to tear the fire escape apart. You have to give it a new connection. But now you've got a problem. Your engineer now needs to go to that roof and find out where the water's coming in. And you know where it usually comes in? It comes in all the sills that have a support right there underneath the sill. The water's getting to that support. That support comes up and cracks your sill. Water's feeding through those sills every day. So this is not just a fire escape repair. There's a mason now involved and a roofer now involved, identifying where the water's coming in to this thing. And in some cases, I have water infiltration because right now, right here's a sill, right? And it snaps the sill. Water comes in here, feeds water to this every day. So you fix it, 5 years later you repair it. You fix it, 5 years later you repair it. Yes?
I have a question because.
Just one? There's
No,
already
I got
17
lots of
questions.
them.
Everybody else is
You know, one
quiet.
of the things that trying to sell to the owners and so forth, and the fire department and the marshal both have the same probably is, you know, fire escapes are an evil necessity of money pit.
No, I'll give you the correct term. They're called rusty. Oh, yeah, go ahead. One man's trash is another man's treasure. I understand. So,
Correct.
what is it?
So, you know, when
It's your hard life, I understand. Go ahead.
when we're speaking, and especially with these owners and so forth, I've explained to them, okay, this is gonna be a cost-effective situation. And then when you give them just the basics of the cost of your engineering repairs and testing, they're already choking. And then you start getting involved in repairs, and then it's, they're about ready to throw their hands up and just be like, I guess we'll just have to wait to see, because at a point we've already spent this enormous amount of money. And how have you approached it with these people and trying to?
Yeah.
How do you sell
never-
How do you sell Eskimos ice cubes? Is really the question.
Yes.
I tell them one wrongful death lawsuit,
Mm-hmm.
our whole industry is reactionary. Do you want to be that person?
Right.
And all the other owners say, well, that's why I have insurance for the slip and fall problems too.
If you're comfortable,
Honestly, a majority of the owners we're dealing with in this town are multifamily structures. Some is commercial, obviously the downtown core, but, in my opinion, a large part of it is, apartment type structures, because that's what they were originally built as.
I was just curious of your.
It is a challenge in a lot of cases to deal with owners of that mindset who are landlords of some A properties and some not so A class properties, shall we say.
Because when you look at this, if you were to go into this fix and get $50,000 fix, and homeowner, and I'm not saying good or bad or something, I'm just trying to say that when we're trying to approach in the fire, any of us as life safety people, of trying to explain to them, you better have $50,000 set up front, because this is, your fire escape's gonna cost you that much.
maybe
It's hard to choke down
Maybe we
for
should
them.
bring a bunch of these videos that we've seen today and just have them on the phone and say, here's what can happen and what has happened.
That's actually the primary reason that our office is so far behind the curve in giving you guys more business. We actually implemented our policy years ago with the intent that by December 31st of 2013, every fire escape in this city would have gone through the testing process.
Right.
We didn't meet our end of it, and it got backed off, and we are still giving 5-year notification. If the fire escape looks appropriately, reasonably sound to my inspector who's out in the field looking at it, then they can give them a date 5 years out, if they have not been cited previously.
Okay.
We are that far behind, because as I recall, this is 2016.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be, yeah. never
Oh,
mind.
wait, we're in another construction wave too, because you guys aren't looking at any new construction going on in town,
No,
right?
we ignore that, that's all Jim's shop.
I think in my opinion here, just with the changing of the industry in Portland again, with the all-time construction high and 10,000 apartment units being built, I think it's at every level, last time I went to BDS, there's 34 job openings if anyone wants to go work for the building department at Portland right now, listed online, 34 job openings. So as a result, in this town right now, it creates a higher level of difficulty, just like there's a new implemented procedure that there's a pre-issuance for permits, if you guys weren't aware of that on the BDS side. Some of you probably are. Customarily, review's done, fees are calced, you get an email, you go show up. Now they send you a notification that it's in pre-issuance, which is basically that the plans have been reviewed, that they're so backlogged on being able to calculate fees and process the permits. And I'm just speaking purely in reference to the fire escape repairs, not other regular building permits. It adds another layer of or time for it to be in that system. I would say on average, what have we gone from a standard 2 or 3 week review to well over a month
2 months out,
for
by the time you're done.
yeah, for just a standard fire escape. That's not a 12-story gig. That's the 4, or 3 landing. So
Well, with the government.
yeah,
Come on, Stu.
but it is. It's just kind of a
Just joking.
So guys,
at least for us in this town, it's a little bit of a perfect storm right now that there just isn't enough manpower from top down, bottom up you know, to handle the workload that's out there.
The biggest consolation we've had with that uptick is that they've actually bulldozed a few of the buildings that had fire escapes.
That is true, so I guess if we just wait long enough, that all the developers, anyway.
Thank you.
So fire escape load testing, it's on here, go to firescapeloadtest.com, show this to your client, right? And you go there and you can show them what load testing is involved, whether you're using sandbags, water bags, or cable. We have a little video that you can play, so this shows all the testing. But the key here is down towards the bottom. Like you said, we should just show these death videos to people. So on the bottom, sorry, on the bottom right side, these go to firescapelaw.com, right? And you want to show them this video. Okay, so again, people are getting sued, like you said, the building's getting locked up, so you got fire escape law. This is all fatalities on the left side, including all the things we already saw. But here's one of the newest, greatest one. Let's watch this one.
Some folks at an apartment house in New Jersey lucky to be alive tonight. The fire escapes that were supposed to be lifesavers nearly turned into death traps. The old and rusted sets, as you can see there, simply fell apart as folks climbed down, escaping a pre-dawn blaze. Jim Dolan at the scene in Jersey City with the latest for us. Jim?
Well, Larry, this fire started at 5 o'clock in the morning, so by the time people woke up, the hallways were filled with smoke, and many of them had to run down these rusty, rickety, narrow, and slippery fire escapes. Now, some of the fire escapes were just fine, but up on the 3rd floor, one guy went out onto that fire escape, and it nearly cost him his life. The choking smoke was building in JR's apartment, and the only way out was the fire escape. But that turned out to be just as dangerous as the smoke.
So that's it, right there. That's when the whole thing just gave way over to the bottom.
Take a look at the fire escape steps. After JR crashed through them early this morning, he had never even looked at them until he needed them. But one floor down, Vanessa Hancock had.
When I first moved into the apartment, that's the first thing I checked was the fire escape. And so we told the management about the fire escape because it's hazardous and somebody could get hurt, anything can happen. So we keep calling the management about the fire escape so nobody do anything.
So when she was awakened this morning by smoke and noise, she knew she never had a chance out there.
I knew not to even come this way. I already knew not to even come this way. So my option was either out the window or the front door.
Out the window.
It was just about that time that JR did head to what turned out to be a rickety, corroded, and dangerous fire escape. And it nearly cost him his life.
Gonna get free rent for a while though.
Just gave way.
He owns the building. His lawyers are working on that right now.
Gave way.
And this building is in litigation as we speak.
What do you think?
Then I want to
Pretty sure I'm one way stuck with that building.
Pretty scary.
It must have been so scary, firemen had to help him out. But take a look at what he would have gone through had he made it down to the 1st floor. He then would have had to walk down this long, rickety Holt ladder just to make it to safety. We called the company that runs this building. They did not get back to us. The Jersey City Police Fire Department says they inspect these and started inspecting them in 2013, but never got to this building. We're not in Jersey City.
And they're a model city, in that we did the same class to these guys here, so it's not, every building's not, but they have actually a program. They're one of the model cities out there that is actually doing something about it. All right, guys, write this page down. Fire Escape Services Network. And I'm going to show you how you get to the Portland website. So you get to, again, this is all free public information, right, that we created this website for that very reason. We ask you where you're from, they say, oh, because we're nationwide, you guys may or may not know this, but, and then we come here and say, where are you, Portland? So Portland, Oregon, you click on that, and what you have is, I'm working off my Wi-Fi here, we have a Fire Escapes Portland, and it has all the same information on here, including your procedures and guidelines are on here. We go through all the codes right there. The steps that include coming back to the city official, please contact your local official to make sure everything you're seeing here is correct. videos and examples. There's a fire escape law right there. You click on that, that's gonna show you the death, the death videos. On the right, it's actually gonna show you the load test videos in case you wanna say, like, what the hell is this load test? So click on the right, it'll show sandbags being dragged around. At the very top, it'll also show you, when you click on here for seminars, you tell your clients, listen, if you don't believe us, look at all the seminars happening nationwide, and that is through the National Fire Escape Association, and this is some of the seminars on here, as you can see, and I believe we may have you guys on here as one of the videos. I believe one of these is the Portland. So when they click on it, say, wow, this is crazy, what are you making this stuff up? I said, we've been doing this for 10 years, but here's an actual Portland seminar, maybe in the same room. This is what cafeteria.
Cisco has been involved in fire escape.
This is the cafeteria.
Yeah, 20 to 30 years is my dad driving in.
All right, so there's information out there to get everybody educated. Back to the question you had, how do you sell somebody a $50,000 problem? You said, listen, you have a roof on your house and you've been spending $5,000 or $25,000. $5,000 is a bucket of tar and a guy. And then finally these people get in and say, you know what, I will rubber roof the thing instead of the $5,000 hits every so many years, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Sprinkler systems. 30 years ago, you know how many buildings didn't have full sprinkler systems working? And they were fully occupied, and then it was a huge fight with getting the sprinkler. With enough lobbying and enough change, it finally changes. Alarms were not working. Extinguishers were all dead in every floor. Hoses were old hoses. And you know what happened? At the very beginning, when there was a change of nothing, doing nothing, finally, after enough fines and fees, everybody got on it, and you know what they made it part of the cost of doing business. So yes, an average 5-story fire escape can go anywhere from $25,000 to $75,000 K, with or without the engineer oversight. Typical pass fails are $500 to $1,500 per pass fail. $3,000 to $5,000 for EOs for residentials, and $5,000 to $8,000 for commercial. Standard, 5 no more than 10 stories. Anybody want to modify these prices a little bit? Nationwide. But everybody wants sorry for the vulgarity here, sometimes you get the stamp whores, all right? Am I spelling whores correctly? Stamp whores for $500. They'll stamp anything nationwide, not here, but there's some stamp whores out there. And there's also witch doctors that the main tool they bring to a repair is paint.
And a pack of cigarettes.
And a what?
And a pack of cigarettes.
And cigs, because you got to take your break.
Yeah.
Guys, I'll give you an example. Next week we got to go to, anybody here of Galesburg, Illinois? Yeah, I have a 5-story on a 5-story on a, what do you call it, a 5-story on a city building. They've been trying to get it fixed for 4 years, 5 years now. Couldn't get anybody to bid it. 5-story, standard 5-story. Same 5-story here. Am I off, guys? Plus, minus? What's the difference? Competition. Got it? So what's going to stabilize? We're going to go into the confidence test because we have to start talking about this confidence test. Because the confidence test is going to create stability in the marketplace. What it's also going to do is stabilize the costs so that there's not this and not this. It's going to, people who do this on a regular basis are going to start stabilizing their prices. Engineers will have competition. Vendors are going to have competition. Painters are going to have competition. And guess what happens when you have competition? Prices come down. When there is no competition, ooh, rusty. Why? Because you've got the cure. If you got the cure, supply and demand. So just there is what people were getting for 25 to 50 years, was a stamp that cost them $500 to $1,000. You take it, you'd be done. Got it? Sadly, it's out there, guys. All right, so let's get the, so very quickly, and we need to get right on this conference test. Ready? Guys, holes in the walls. This is that thing you talked about, water getting between the veneer and the structural. If you don't open these things up, sometimes this is exactly where failures are found. You've got this kind of thing, a load test will identify this. Or a pre-load test evaluation will identify that there needs further investigation before a load test. Because you have enough evidence, especially all that rust coming out of the wall, that you would never load test the fire escape, you go further into investigation. It's called pre-load test evaluation. Got it? So when we get here, now we got the interior of a building, guys, right? So some of these come all the way through, and as you can see, pre-load test evaluation. You need to have the confidence of your engineer and your testing company that this thing is not going to hurt somebody, because you don't test things that are bad. Got it? Pre-drilling. This is in California. So we were verifying that these steel implements going in were in good order. What a pain, what a pain. Can't I just take that same 3/4 drill, right? Instead of verifying, this looks visually great to me, right? Can't I go 6 inches over there, create an angle clip that makes this a bolted connection, and use that same 3/4 and go through it and put an epoxy or a through bolt? I've duplicated the connection. I don't care about the first one anymore. The first one now is an add-on. I show you this building. If I say, hey, I'm showing you other evidence of strength. All the original ones are all packed and sealed and tight. What's their condition? I don't know. But I think they're good. But I put in another epoxy bolt with a through bolt on the back plate. Here's my engineer's stamp of what we did as an example. Other evidence of strength? Okay, let's keep on going. This is what it looks like on the inside. This is fire escape proctology. I got a hole, and I got to send a little probe down there, and guess what I get to see? This. Guess what I can see? Not much. So stop drilling these things. Just put a bolt next to it on every individual support, or unify the connections. Get underneath. Platforms are 4 feet across. Take a 5-foot piece of angle, stick it underneath, unify the two together, throw in 3, 4 epoxy bolts or 3, 4 through bolts. The original ones you gotta fix, you gotta pack, you gotta seal, and then when you do the through bolts, you document it, you write it up, and you send it to the fire department, you send it to the building department, and you're going after other evidence of strength. That's what it looks like down the fire escape proctology. Got it, guys? All right, here's what's happening on fire escapes. Well, this is on a school. I took a fire escape and I saved this piece. This is on an elementary school. Kids use this every day to go to recess. So what I did is I saved this fire escape and I shrunk it and I used it as a showpiece. I actually bring it to one of these classes. I bring the original fire escape I took out of a school, and I only had Christmas break to take it down and put up a brand new one. But what I did to it is I did everything wrong to it. There was already wrong things done to it. I did other wrong things to it. To use it as what you can and what you cannot do. See all this welding? This is what everybody does. I know a quick repair in the past would have been put a piece of, don't fix the bottom of it, put an angle on top, weld it and tack it, and these holes, just put a piece of plate over that, just, weld the nose only. So I started getting crazy on this thing to show you, what to do, what not to do. So, instead of changing the bolts, guys, just weld the nose. Witch doctor stuff. You bring feathers, you bring blood, and you dance around, have a lot of crazy music playing, right? And this is what's going to fix a fire escape. And you know what? $3,000. Remember the terrible threes on a fire escape? You get a bid, the owner gets a $3,000, $13,000, and $33,000. Guess who wins?
$3,000.
Got it? If there's no report, if there's no preload test evaluation form, if there is, he can't do it. We'll show you. We'll get on that right now. See? You guys got it? This is what it looks like. It used to be 4 feet across. I shrunk it. I bring this piece on shows all the time to show what kids were using to go to recess. By the way, older than 78 has lead. Any lead paint left on it? No, because the kids took it during recess. That was their snack. They all ate little chips of paint.
Oh.
Got it? So, and of course they took it on their hands and they went like that, and they could put it in their eyes and put it in their mouth. By the way, this rusty stuff, you know what you get? Is it staph infection? Tetanus. One of my guys in Chicago, in Philadelphia, had a little cut. It got in, and Tom is all of 300-something pounds. Right? He got tetanus He spent 3 months in the hospital. I said goodbye to him because he was gonna die. They removed all kinds of infections and organs. He got tetanus through a rusty infection. So if you're doing fire escapes, go get a tetanus shot. My guy almost died. I say, hey dude, I got another fire escape, and Philly goes, I ain't going nowhere near Philly. But it's not Philly, you have Boston with the same tetanus. Every rusty fire escape is like stepping on a rusty nail. When you're working it, you scrape yourself, guess what? Tetanus. I got a guy that I said goodbye to the guy. All of a sudden he comes out, he's 200 pounds lighter now, you know what I'm saying, because he lost a ton of weight, but for all the wrong reasons. And he's still recovering till today. He's not back full force yet. Still recovering, cannot get out of the house, he's on the medication, under, hospice and under treatment. He's 58 years old. So guys, that's the old one this is my Christmas break. And then I put a brand new one off to the side. But here's the funny thing about this. It took me longer to take this thing apart and save it in the as-is, because no, you get there, you just cut, drop. I needed to save pieces and then use it as a showpiece. I actually spend more time taking it down and saving it in its garbage point than I should have. But it's a great piece because a lot of people can see it, touch it, and collect tetanus. You know what I'm saying while you're here? So, OSHA, we're all cool on the lead-based paint thing. You need to have a renovator's license. So if you don't have one, it's an 8-hour course, $175 to $275. You start in the morning, at the end of the day, you already got your lead paint. You only need one guy on site to be dealing with the lead. Everybody else has to be told. You have to keep records. And you got to wear the white suit. And by the way, OSHA totally disagrees. They think that guy's going to be doing blood. So remember the difference between OSHA and EPA. Let them fight it out, but just send your $300 in because you have to register with the EPA, and if you get caught doing something wrong, they only have 4 inspectors in the whole country, it's a $37,500 fine per violation. Welding. You want to weld? Here's why you don't weld. This just happened last year.
They're working on the building's fire escape when they sparked the deadly fire. Fox Undercover revealed Wednesday that fire escape hadn't been inspected in 10 years, even though inspections are required every 5 years. Investigative reporter Mike Bodette digging up some new exclusive information tonight. Mike?
We looked at the entire Beacon Street block where the fatal fire happened and discovered, just like 296 Beacon Street, most of the fire escapes there are overdue for inspections. It turns out the city doesn't have any mechanism in place to track building owners violating the rules and hold them accountable. Mayor Walsh is not happy. Are you concerned that inspection wasn't done since 2004?
Of course I am, and it's something that, constantly every day seems like something new is coming up around inspection services, and we are looking at revamping a lot of the procedures in there.
We're looking to revamp.
Walsh talking about 296 Beacon Street, the place where welders may have been working on the fire escape.
This is the neighbor's house.
298 Beacon Street.
They're welding on this side.
Fire that killed Boston Fire Lieutenant Ed Walsh and firefighter Michael.
Burned down 5 stories, 60 mile an hour winds that day.
Had not been inspected since 2000.
So they're working on the left side.
The state building code requires.
And they caught the shed on fire on the other side, and they blew into the building and killed 2 firemen in the basement.
Inspected in 2009, and then again this year, which raises a troubling question according to fire code expert Amy.
So let's move on. You understand? Welding, you have to have a fire permit. Welding, if it needs to be examined, then it needs either a radiograph or a load test. But as soon as you put a bolt on a welded connection, what happens? Other evidence of strength? So I'm not x-raying that thing and I'm not load testing it, I'm going to bring other evidence of strength. So any welded connection that's in good order, not bad, that you blow a bolt to it, what are we testing? The weld now or the bolt? And if, 3 years from now, after we've given you other evidence of strength, the fire escape falls apart and hits the ground. And we get there, we do our fire escape CSI, we do our investigation and we find that that bolt sheared. Who's everybody sue? Bolt manufacturer. Why? It was a product failure. Do they have insurance for that?
I hope so.
So the law says, load test it, no liability for anybody. Other evidence of strength, where's the liability going to go to? Who's ever installing it to make sure that if they did it right, it goes to product. So if a through bolt that you put into the building shears and fails, what's the failure there? Product. Guys, this is Exit routes, 1910.37, please note that down on your documents. That's an OSHA requirement that says, during construction, repairs, or alterations, the fire escape is fixed last or first? Because you spark fires during the renovation, right? So fire escape first or last?
Needs to be first.
First, right? And it says here that during repairs and alterations, employees must not occupy the workplace unless the exit routes required by the subpart are available and the existing fire protections are maintained, or until alternate fire protection is furnished that provides an equivalent level of safety. So, we're working on a building, I can't fix this fire escape, I can't do it for 2 months. Can I put up some scaffolding? All right, not construction scaffolding, I'm gonna put in full 3-foot 7-11 fire escapes. I mean,
First you have to go get the sidewalk permit, that's most crucial.
so will it meet your requirement? Does it shut down that project once the scaffolding goes up?
It shouldn't.
Keep going, got it? So, once you've identified a bad fire escape, the construction can go forward, because as soon as the scaffolding's up, everybody's moving. You stop the money, heads are gonna roll. You don't stop the money, here's what it looks like, guys. Anybody know this building? Right down the street from you guys.
Right down the street.
Got it? And what's he got? He's got a full set of stairs, not construction stairs. These are full 3-foot 7-11 stairs to the ground. And he also has an elevator for who? For the workers, because they have an interior stair. And what is this stair? Is that a day-to-day stair, or is that an egress stair for the firemen to get in and the people to get out in case? So this is what OSHA wants you to do. They don't want you to stop the job, provide alternative means. So I'm showing up at your site because we're going to mothball the fire escape for 3 months. I got to block all the interior access to the fire escape. Satisfied? All the interior access to the old fire escape on this building is blocked off. Nobody can get to it. Is that you satisfied?
With that?
With this up, yeah. By the way, on the outside fire escape that's rotten, I got all these markings on it with a big circle with you guys, with a big thing saying, don't ever get on it. Are you satisfied?
I could make a sandwich.
Okay, so now we've blocked off access to the fire escape. Firemen cannot get on this fire escape, and they have an alternative means of egress, and you get this during your pre-plans. What are you doing when you're doing pre-plans?
Entering them into the system so that we have them readily available in about 3 or 4 months.
And this is all in a...
Oh, I was that's voicing.
That's the inside voice.
And they're all synced into the guys' smartphones on site, right?
Load testing, sandbags, 50-pound sandbags. By the way, why did I do this? This is a Harvard building. You know what I did here? I fully refurbished the fire escape, and I load tested it for what reason?
Prove it work.
Well, prove that it works, but also to say, I need a load test in Boston, because I've never done a load test in Boston. I said I needed an excuse for one, so we created one. So we load tested, but I want to show you the craziness.
So now we're loading onto a stair, we're doing
Oh my
a
God.
concentrated load of every
6
other
bags.
stair.
You know what 300 pounds looks like with 50-pound bags? And they fall, and they collapse, and they drop.
Note that the staircase is starting.
All right, so we did in California, we did cable. By the way, guys, remember this, you can do sandbags, water bags, or cable. Do you want to put the 5,000 pounds up here, or do you want to put it on the ground and run a cable up, and then lift the 5,000 pounds 1 inch off the ground? Think about that. So it's not, you don't bring the pound up, you bring the force up there, and you can use cables. There's many ways to load test. You know who designs it? Engineers design it. You know what the norm is? 1,000 pounds? You put 400 pounds, you put 40% of the load. You measure it before, during, and after. Any deflection, what do? Stop. I want to demystify, the process. Once nothing deflects and you've done 40%, now you put the other 60%. What do? Measure before, during, and after for a certain time period, and there's no deflection, guess what you got?
Pass.
A pass. So if you want, you can go on firescapesloadtest.com and see some of this happening stuff, and you can use anything at the ground. You can lift trucks, you can lift. Just make sure you wear your helmets. Fire escapes are tied off in case there's a failure. It relies on another fire escape. This is us using a load cell. Guys, can't give away too much secret, but this again, it's a secret. There it is. By the way, what do you want to walk up to? You want to walk up to a fire escape, and you want to have the proper guidelines, and you also want to have the reports, confidence tests. Let's start right here. Let's get to the load. Let's take the confidence test. Let's take the one that is, should we do the Portland one? It's the same test, exact test. So, anybody got the Portland one? The other one you can use yourself. You can go online to any of our websites and get a blank one. You can put your own name at the very top. Or you can use your own, you can use this as a guide and you can answer the questions on your own letterhead. Got it? So let's do the Portland. This is a draft, this has not been accepted. Portland one. All right, so everybody grab one and start filling it in. Sort of, I'm going to go very quickly through it so you understand why we ask every question. Remember, this is a mousetrap, because we've had the perfect storm of stupidity. From the top to the bottom, there's been people who have not been watched. You can do anything you damn please. But now I've made people interconnect to each other. So right now, in order for you to get away with something, somebody else has to let you. And that makes them an accomplice. Got it? So let's start at the very top. Is that the correct information for you, Stu? Should you approve this?
Yes.
All right, by the way, it says this document expires 30 days from date of delivery to owner agent via email or by mail unless a design professional or others retained for engineer oversight and writing. Meaning this is a pass-fail. Cannot go pull a permit. This tells you what the problems are, not where they exist, what and how many exist. Got it? This is the cheapie, $500 to $150. It automatically expires. When Stu gets one of these, 30 days later, it's gone. The owner cannot use it as a repair document. And believe me, they're selling your first visit as a repair document all day long. And we're barely getting any information because it's not a true repair document, because those things cost $3 to $5 grand, $5 to $8 grand. That's the going rate. But that's a lot more detail, right? So number two, I need to know who the owner is and I need to know who the agent is, and I only need one of them. If you want to put both of them, you can, but a lot of times the agent is the only one that fills it out, such as the management company. In the middle, you guys see the middle box there? It says, give you a little diagram of where the building is, where the fire escape is. So please, no artistic way, just, it's a box. This is the front. And then, I'm sorry, this is the front as it says, just draw it by hand. And the fire escape is on this corner, just put an X on it. And it says, if you know the north, if you know the arrow, just put an arrow over that. Just say, will that help you, Stu? Knowing where the fire escape is? Okay, continue. Anybody, just start spewing out if you disagree with some of this stuff. The next question, it says, I want the design professional or others acceptable to the city official. I want all their name and information and licenses. Stu, you need to know that? Is that important for you? So you can accept the other? I need to know the inspection date. I need to know the violation number. I need to get all that information because that's how you, sometimes you don't know an address, you know a violation number. The next document, if this is the initial document, there is no repair vendor. If this is a certification, guess what I need to put on there for Stu and for anybody else? I need to put the repair vendor's name, number, license number, and repair permit. So this is the first catch. There is no repair permit. What happens? Will Stu accept this incomplete document?
Yes.
Stu will accept it?
Well,
An
there's
incomplete
not a
document?
repair number, I mean, it's our permit number.
Right, so Stu will not.
He's going off of the entities that are certified with the affidavit.
Pretend this is a room of just what it could be.
Oh.
Not what it is.
Portlandia is utopia.
Portlandia.
Okay.
So please, so you understand now there's two people that have to know each other. There's a cross-check system.
Okay.
No repair, it's an incomplete report. He needs further information, got it?
Okay.
Now let's go down to this document is a pass-fail report or a fail report with attached documentation. Which one is this? That he needs to know. Because if it's a pass-fail, it expires.
30 days.
A pass-fail report goes on for how long?
Approximately 6 months.
The norm is 30 days, but you know what they ask for in the rest of the country? They ask for a 60 or 90-day extension, meaning up to 90 days. And he can continue giving him additional extensions as long as you see progress and report. So the norm is your violation has 30 days to cure, unless in writing you get from him another violation date. Got it? We're in utopia, Portlandia, right? So imagine this is really working. The next question, it has the golden parachute that everybody loves. Ready? To the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, the following opinions are true, right? This is some engineers and architects and a lot of professionals love that statement because now I want to know, and he wants to know, did you do a visual walkthrough? Did you physically get on this fire escape and that's what you, and it says right there, no load test was performed, no destructive testing was done. This is a pass-fail. We're just looking at it. I got to see what the problem is, not where it is and how many exist. Got it? The second one is I didn't get on it because two reasons. One, I couldn't get access, and that sometimes happens, and you'll never get access, and you'll have to use binoculars, and sometimes it's too dangerous to get on it. I can only examine from above, and I got to give you photographic zoomed photographs. Got it? Good for you? I gotta tell you whether the fire escape passed or failed and if there's any life safety issues. If there is a life safety issue, he needs to know right away. This comes to him right away the first day, because life safety issues weren't resolved how quickly?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Normally it's 24 to 48 hours, but they have a document that they receive that they have to notify him and they choose whether they come down or not. If I'm in LA and my license, I find the life safety issue, I have to call the local firehouse. I'm gonna lose my license. I have to call the local fire station, call the captain in charge and say, I'm sitting on a life safety issue, can you please come down? I can't leave. If I leave, I lose my license. The trucks go, woo! And the guy comes down there and I says, see you later. Now that fire captain deals with that fire issue and that owner and everybody. That's in LA. Required by license, otherwise you lose your license. You cannot leave a life safety concern. Like it? Good. All right, let's keep going on. So the next one is I only have 4 options for you to get a pass on this fire escape. You're gonna, the system is certified by load test. Portlandia load test is
200.
200, okay? The fire escape is certified by other evidence of strength, signed by a structural engineer. You okay with it? Okay? And the third one is, the fire escape system is certified by opinion affidavit. Is that anywhere in the code? Anywhere in any code that you can give me an opinion. It's not, but it's been the norm for 25, 50 years, still exists, and people will force it down your throat, including the mayor, right? But it says, accepted by the AHJ as ready for use with a opinion disclaimer of liability. You know what that means? When I give him a disclaimer, and I gave Chicago a disclaimer, and I give New York City a disclaimer, you know what I say on that? It's a nice long document that my lawyers wrote up for me after I got sued in Chicago for it, and guess what got me out of trouble? Not that I created any trouble, but the golden parachute, the opinion affidavit, I pulled it, and it worked, but it cost $1 million. Got it? So let me tell you what the opinion affidavit says. It says that here's an opinion, and the engineers and architects love it. It says, I will sign that today, that fire escape is not on the ground. It looks good today. But tomorrow it falls on the ground. The owner of this building will hold us harmless, that's what mine says. Pay all my legal fees. If there's any award of any kind, they'll pay those too. And by the way, I want the city official to check with their legal department to say if there's any liability, because you accepted such a document as an opinion, which is nowhere in the codes, that your legal department says, oh, we might as well use our own disclaimer, putting it also back on the owner. But let your legal department decide that. It's not my decision. But that's what we do. And then the final one is a simple one. It says the fire escape failed. It's not structural sound that hasn't been kept painted. So that's all I'm saying. And there's further investigation. Notice I've stuck your little Portland code in there. So normally in this space down here, what I put is I can put in IBC, IFC, NFPA. And by the way, the insurance companies right now, we're dealing with insurance companies right now who are not